Thema Fan-Engagement. Fan-Engagement, und im Endeffekt hat das alles mit Fan-Engagement zu tun, auf der unterschiedlichen Art und Weise, wie wir Fan-Engagement sehen, wie wir Customer Centricity sehen. Für einen sind die Kunden wichtig, für andere sind die Fans wichtig. Und wie wir das ganze Thema über Plattformen beziehungsweise Channel-Strukturen und Tools regeln, hören wir jetzt im nächsten Panel. Ich darf begrüßen Samuel Westberg, Mike Ward, Alex Mölders und Mehdi von Sky Switzerland. Welcome. Yeah. Cruise around, feel free, whatever you want to sit. All right. It was very touchy, right?
Yeah, hard to follow that presentation.
But nevertheless, it's fan engagement, all of it. Sam, starting with you. You hear many customers, you have your own podcast, you're interviewing many people, you have Lifelike, Greenfly. So when customers coming to you and coming with the approach, tell me about how I can solve my fan engagement problem. What is your answer?
My answer is make them participate. I think we went from a world where it was really about passive watching, where we had the habit of watching what was happening on the screen, to an environment where we all want to participate, whether it be on social media, where we like, swipe, share, chat. Those native behaviors are really part of our society now, and the fact of engaging with the user and making it a bi-directional relationship is really what the new generation is about. And I think that those are the fundamentals in the way you approach your content creation, is give a say to your audience. They have a lot to say, they have a lot of knowledge that they can now go capture. So it's really about that participation and that bi-directional relationship.
And do you see a change from pre-COVID to post-COVID? Is there any change you see, or was it the same strength beforehand? Or
there definitely was. It was great for the digital space, actually, the COVID. Honestly, it was hard for a lot of people, but it forced organizations to rethink a little bit the way they were approaching their content. It was more about how you optimize the resources that you have on site versus bring additional crews, additional cameras. So I think a lot of interesting workflows happened. And the other element that's super important is the notion of first-party data, how you actually know and are in control of your audience, how you actually speak to them and know where they are. We passed from a period where it was all about the eyeballs to now capturing more data to understand your audiences in a much better way, which is really the new gold mine for the broadcasting industry and for the industry in general.
So we have two clips from you, one from Lifelike. Maybe you can, let's say, we run it and you can, let's say, talk over it. And then obviously also what you're doing for Bundesliga with Greenfly. It's also very interesting how you engage or trying to engage with a product, fans and audience. Maybe, let's say, let's roll the clip and you can talk about a little bit of the Lifelike angle and then also the Greenfly. Yeah, let's roll.
Yeah. So directly into it, this is really how you bring that conversation over to your proprietary platforms, right? All the traction you can get from social media is very positive, creates a lot of awareness, but really afterwards is how you actually create that channel of conversation. One of the big examples we often take is the collaboration we have with Canal+. It was how they actually have the audience participate. And one of the things was that they had a lot of bashing on social media. The data points that they were getting, they couldn't rely on. And bringing that conversation over to their proprietary platforms, they actually had super qualified data that actually made it super relevant for the halftime insights, for the post-game insights about who is the best player in this half. The public has voted for 75% for Kylian Mbappe, that actually becomes a piece of the editorial content. So it's actually also how you do that transformation from a digital engagement to what is happening on linear for a lot of the audience. So it's really the element of participation and having qualified data that has the user get engaged on the content and keeps him on your platform versus have him move over the different experiences he can have access to.
And what you're doing with the other clipboard we were showing in a second about Greenfly, I mean, first of all the crazy players, they're producing content like hell. You need a funnel, right? Otherwise, you get it like this and you don't have it on your platform, you have it somewhere else, but it's not bringing Sky forward, it's bringing, unfortunately, the player in the best ranking on their, let's say, social channels. What is Greenfly all about? Let's say, let's run the clip and you can talk over it.
Behind-the-scenes content up close and personal with the players. Brought to you by the social media matchday feed. Innovative and uncomplicated production workflows. Social media reporters produce matchday content for every club. Authentic and close to the action, before, during and after the game. Seamless distribution to the clubs, the league and international media partners. All made possible by Greenfly's content management system. Choose, edit and post content intuitively without delay. An inexhaustible array of stories, improved interaction with Bundesliga fans worldwide, goals shown from all new angles and raw emotions. Exciting, tailor-made content delivered by the social media matchday feed.
So we have to produce more content, but nevertheless it must be easy, right?
Exactly, and cheaper probably than most of the means that you put in production. Yeah, the idea there was really to say every person on site can be a content creator. So how do you optimize that, and how you get content from behind the scenes, right? How do you bring that proximity, the immersive aspect of the live action, right? So what better than the social media managers of the organizations or the broadcasters who are actually very close to the action. And it was also, how do you think about it in a very different editorial way? You see in this video, Haaland taking a video, capturing it, distributing it internationally to other different right holders, right? This is the type of immersive content that the younger generations are looking for. You can create virality by publishing it immediately on social media, but it also helps with the narrative that you can bring on the main screen for the halftime show. And one of the very powerful things about Greenfly and that content creation workflow is it really got the leagues, broadcasters, and clubs to work closer together. So necessarily there are some legal obligations along the way to make it work, but overall it did make happen a conversation between those different parties, so that everybody got what they needed, what is important for their own strategy, and also gave away a bit the other way around, so that it worked for everyone implied in the project.
Okay, quite interesting. So Mehdi, Sky Switzerland. First of all, very glad to have you here, because this is always called as a DACH Summit, but unfortunately never had a speaker from Swiss. So now you're here. Very welcome. So what is unique on the Swiss market, how you tackled it? You're part of Sky, obviously, but you're working totally agile. If we're talking about always big and heavy, you're the agile unit in the Sky universe. So how you tackle the Swiss market?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for inviting me, for inviting us. I also came with Nicolas from the sport department. Yes, indeed. So Sky Switzerland is different from Sky Germany and actually all the other big countries. We are a pure OTT player, so that's the main difference. So no Sky Q in Switzerland. And before talking about the tools that we use to engage with customers, specifically, I think the biggest difference is around the app. Mm-hmm. So we have one single app through which our customers use our services. That actually is the Sky app that bundles Sky Sports, Sky Show, which is our entertainment and films service offering, as well as Sky Store. So all in one app. And then talking more specifically about Sky Sport and the way we developed it, it's quite new. This is started in 2017 and brought it now to its position of leadership in Switzerland. So the leadership, the number one platform for sport. And I think the uniqueness starts there. It's an app where we had Sky Sport at the beginning, and we increasingly aggregated our competitors. So we have an offering that offers basically that reduces this complexity of the rights and where to find content. So people come to our platform and have it all in there and can subscribe to the different services and basically can easily get it all. The last bit that we have recently been developing, which is the free-to-air content. So we have an increasingly bigger share of free-to-air content, where we see now, because probably of our leadership position that we've developed, we see more and more people coming, so both prospects as well as our own customers, coming to watch sport on Sky instead of on the channels, the free-to-air channels directly, which is a very interesting sign of this leadership position that we've developed, and I think it's a great way a great base to then engage with customers. Obviously, the pricing is a typical streaming OTT without any commitment, a monthly subscription combined with pay-per-view schemes, and in some cases some bundling discounts that we can offer. We have big ambitions to further develop that aspect to make it even more accessible and appealing for customers to, again, come to Sky Sport as the starting point. And I think that's our first, I would say, unique aspect.
Okay.
Then if we go to the, shall I continue?
Sure.
Yeah, if we go to the sort of next step, where and how we actually get into that full engagement. So we have a news website, so an equivalent of Sky Sport News, which we didn't have in Switzerland, on which we actually leverage the group. So we leverage Sky Germany, Sky UK, but we also have our own unique Swiss content that is being developed. This is something very fresh. It's been soft launched a few weeks ago. It's going to be live next week. So here, yeah, it's a piece of news, and it's going to be, I think, quite instrumental in our ability to engage and bring something more than the big screen, and beyond really the app itself. Obviously, social media is an important element to engage, and there we are actually, yeah, I think quite depositioned versus where we're supposed to be. So we have been investing in that. We have increased the size of the team that manages social media. So that's obviously a way to engage, and I think we see a lot of potential for us to grow in this area. And last but not least is meaningful direct marketing. There we try to be, as I said, as meaningful as possible. So base our communication on data, on research, and be there to basically solve that question, where can I see the content, and making sure that people get the content pushed to themselves as opposed to searching where and when to see it. So that's what we basically deliver through all these different means. And it's been quite successful, I think, so far. So we will continue, hopefully, growing.
Good. And overall, what are the challenges in your market?
Yes, so the challenges, they are, I think, in the first place, inherent to the Swiss specificities. You know, Switzerland is a small country, but quite a fragmented, complex country.
Oh, yes.
With, you can see there are 4 official languages. Actually, for our matter, it's 3, but English is the 4th, because we have a big international community. I think there's more than 20% foreigners that live in Switzerland, so it's quite staggering. And English is a language that is used, that is expected from our customers. So this complexity makes it, makes the sports rights complex. So the way the different competitors have sports rights over the country is complex. So that's something that, in terms of communication, makes it difficult for us, and that's an overhead. You can imagine what you are doing right now here in German, putting it in 4 languages. It makes it obviously operationally more complex. Also for the customers, they have difficulty understanding that when they cross a virtual language border in the country, that this turns out into something different, and it is on a different platform, on a different player. And obviously the competitive landscape that is, I think this is valid for any country, but here I just picture it on top of that language complexity, which is, I think, in the end, our biggest challenge, is to, you know, these competitors are also our partners. So we have a sort of very, I think it, as in every market, but it's really the thing that makes it complex on a day-to-day life.
But let's say, as long as you're not fighting against these, your strategy is you integrate them fully.
Yes, and I think we've been quite smart
very wise.
doing this. Yeah.
Okay, Mike, from your singular perspective, same question: customers coming to you with the challenge of fan engagement and digitize the whole fan engagement journey. What is your advice to them? How can Singular help them? What kind of challenges do you see from your perspective? You're working with tons of other clients, I know. That's why in different markets.
It's an interesting question because from our perspective, we're, for anyone who doesn't know, we're a web-based cloud native graphics platform. So we work with a huge range of people, literally from individuals in their bedrooms who are live streaming content right through to federations and clients like Sky who are creating live digital content. And actually, the engagement aspect really varies massively depending on who you're talking to. I'm not supposed to say this. We did a lot of work with Blizzard Activision, who did a huge amount around fan engagement, providing interactive overlays on their live big events. And then Microsoft bought Blizzard Activision, and someone strategically decided we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing those massive esports productions anymore. Which is interesting, listening to the conversation earlier about DFL and esports. It's not a straightforward path to growth there because companies are deciding, actually, that doesn't work for us, even though we were putting interactive graphics over there, and on certain weekends when they were having their international kind of big finals, you were getting 1.5 million interactions with those graphics. And that goes back to what Sam was saying, that kind of engagement where in real time, someone can click on a graphic or, you know, an emoji or something. That's a two-way dialogue that we're getting back directly in real time, which can inform the content creators, okay, people really like this, not so much that, and you can adjust things accordingly. Then at the other end of the scale, I think there's a lot of confusion, I suppose, or maybe different interpretations of what engagement is. And I'm not going to name names, but I've seen a lot of big leagues and federations talking about how they're pursuing fan engagement with things like crypto and fan tokens. And I know, as a football fan, that is exactly not what the fans want, because certainly younger fans can see when their club is really just trying to raise revenues and they're dressing it up as engagement and saying, oh yeah, we want to engage with our fans. All you're doing is creating another revenue stream, trying to get more money out of the fans. And actually, it can work really negatively against you, I think.
Okay. Interesting. Coming into our world, the legacy world, Alex.
That's why I sit here.
Yeah, that's good. No, you're sitting next to me. That's good. Project Home Run, channel structure. Maybe you can give the audience a bit of an overview and why it's sometimes so important having a remote control, because we hear, let's say, a lot of digital workflows and craziness. I mean, I have a remote control at home, and it's very important that I have 211. I watch Fußball Bundesliga. So why is it so important?
Yeah, so basically, I think seeing all the fancy solutions, our question really last year is how to get there. And sometimes to build like a marketplace for all these great offers. And yeah, I think we see it on screen. What we did last year about golf is we asked our management, we asked ourselves a pretty easy question: sell me our programming for the next 2 weeks. And everyone failed. No one could really describe what we were doing in golf and how fans could really engage with it, and even I couldn't. So would be the solution. Yeah. So this is how 2 weeks of golf looked like last year on Sky. There's great content in there. I think there's even the Ryder Cup, but it's across different channels, different days of the week, timings. Yeah, you just couldn't remember it. And our customers and fans, they just couldn't engage with live content and really great content. And sometimes we described it as in, okay, we are trying to sell the exact amount of nuts in a Snickers, and that's not how you should do it. And we were then not afraid to find a simple solution, or which looks simple on the outside, which was pretty busy underneath. I think a lot of people in the room were also involved technically. And what you can see there is how did we solve this Excel sheet of programming. We are now telling the story. There is a Sky Sport Golf, and this is all you should know. Go to Sky Sport Golf, and you will always find the best golf content there is. And this could work as a ground layer for all innovations and going from there. But we really saw how that worked in Formula One, how that worked for Bundesliga, and then we set out a plan to have that across our portfolio. And maybe if we show the clip.
Sure. It's embedded.
Right. Just to summarize, this is how we then changed our whole channel portfolio. We did that about eight weeks ago. Was pretty busy. We were just talking about it, 58 broadcasting line changes in one night. This is how we look like now. And we were not afraid that it looks pretty simple. That was really the aim, that Premier League runs on Sky Sport Premier League. And I think now we can see the launch trailer.
Sky Sport stellt sich noch besser auf für dich mit 5 weiteren Sendern. So erlebst du den Sport, den du liebst, jeden Tag rund um die Uhr. Ob live oder große Sportgeschichte. Hier hast du jeden Tag englische Woche. 24 Stunden Matchbälle. Und Fairways, die niemals enden. Noch Kondition für mehr Sport. Wir bleiben mit dir sportlich und sind mit dir bei jedem Top-Event dabei. Auf dem Sender, für den dein Fanherz schlägt. Deine neue Sky Sport Aufstellung. Ab 14. Juli nur auf Sky.
So it's all about simplification, right, for the customers?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at our portfolio now, as I said, Roger Federer retires, you know, at least in the Sky world, where to go to. We have the best shots of Roger Federer for 24 hours, more or less. And if there's the Open, you know where to find it. And that was the really nice thing. Even after a few days, we had the best golf tournament that we ever showed on Sky with the best consumption. We brought new people in. And I think this is really about setting the groundworks and then to give an opportunity for fan engagement overall. Because now people know, okay, I want to watch golf, Sky Sport Golf. It's that simple. And then we can really build on that and hopefully get even more engaging in the future. But it's a really big process to get there. But we see for Premier League, for example, big rating increases. And the same is true for golf, for tennis, and so on. So this is how we set up the TV world, at least, or including the linear streaming world, and as a groundwork for that, for fan engagement.
Well, absolutely. I mean, isn't it a success? And my next question is, because sometimes I'm telling my teams, whenever the live corner bug is on, we should be in the right position, the right body language. But you're always, let's say, saying also non-live content is very important. Alessandro, don't, let's say, mess around with the non-live part. How important is non-live content overall for our platforms? Also to your, then, let's say, following to you, Mehdi, how important is non-live, by the way, for the 24/7 engagement of the customer journey?
Yeah, so we look at it from a pure performance point of view, and it's increasingly important. It's most of the time, it's non-live, and people want to watch golf even on a Tuesday, but there's nothing on live. But we see on a rainy day like today in hundreds of thousands of people are on our platform, on our channels, and watching hours and hours of content. And this is then really, again, a great platform to engage there. So we have, I would say, a fourth or almost a third of consumption comes on a usual day and from non-live performance. Okay. So it's very, very important to tell all the great stories.
Same for you, Mehdi?
Similar perspective from the Swiss pure OTT world. I think we experienced the same. It's really equally I don't have the exact share in mind, but I think it's similar.
Okay. So, Mike, we're talking about a lot of technical transformation. There has the willingness to adapt. What kind of challenges do you see, especially around legacy broadcasters, if it comes to, well,
That's a very good question.
don't blame me, but...
Okay, so answer that without blaming you.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I think Sam alluded to this earlier. The technology has evolved so fast, and the conversations we're all having now, everyone in this room, we just weren't having 3, 4, 5 years ago. The challenge is that businesses haven't adapted as quickly, and nor have the people. You know, we talk to broadcast engineers on a daily basis who have spent the last 20 to 30 years being trained and conditioned to keep the internet out of your production control room. And then people like us are walking around going, oh yeah, just connect it to the internet and do everything in the cloud. It's like, how does that work? And it's not necessarily because they're absolutely determined that they're never going to use these new tools. It's just a very new paradigm. It's a very new scenario. So a lot of what we do is about education. We work on small projects. You know, it might be a digital-only production, it might be supplementary content, and that then allows people to use the platform. You know, people can sign up to our platform completely free and test it. There's no hardware required. So it's that accessibility, making it really, really easy for people to use, to talk to our APIs, to integrate with our partners, collaborate with partners, so they then get into a sort of place where they feel comfortable. Because I think that is the biggest challenge. The technology can do everything it needs to do, and more. It's more about people understanding that instead of focusing on the benefits, instead of focusing on the negatives, which are typically what happens if I lose internet, it's more about, yeah, but look at all of the benefits, the benefits of personalization, the benefits of using a more sustainable platform, of scalability, of interactivity, all of these other things. You know, if you're worrying about, oh, I might not have an internet, there aren't many productions these days that don't require some level of stable internet connection. So yeah, it's just changing that dialogue.
Yeah, I fully agree. And you said personalization. Sam, from your perspective, how important is personalization? Where we are now and where we're getting with personalization if it comes to products, fan engagement, and all the other things?
I think it's essential. I actually just read a report that Facebook passed from having large groups, or we passed from a population that was interacting now on social media to various people to now being back to wanting to talk to our community. And I think that element is so relevant regardless of your industry. If we take a club, for example, if you're a Chelsea fan, whether you're watching the match from London or from South Korea, your perspective is different. The athletes you're going to follow are definitely different. And I think that is the period that we're entering now. You were saying innovation is a hard thing. And so the broadcasting industry is slowly moving over because it's actually easier to be in your comfort zone and not risk anything. But I think we're getting to the point where everybody understands that data is way too important. So you actually have to go capture that data. For that, you have to have engagement. And the end benefit of it is having that first party data to have a custom experience to know that, oh, Alessandro watches the Formula One more than he watches football. And Mike, maybe he's a fan of that team versus the other one. Because that's going to create all the opportunities afterwards to monetize that content more extensively and create the experience that people want to watch. And just to finish on that, it's not that new when you look at it. Twitch has been, killing it, crushing it for 5 years now. Like the interactivity, those layers of engagement, the chat functionalities. This is what makes those pieces of content unique. It's not the quality of the production and that immersivity, that the fact of feeling close to your experience. I think is essential for the future of our industry.
Mehdi, do you think the same?
I mean,
same page?
Yes, both on the communication, the personalized communication. I was mentioning briefly about that, having really something that is meaningful, that talks to you and not to the other, something meaningful, as well as the apps. So we actually in the middle of a big revamp from the ground up, recoding of all our apps. We're halfway, let's say, through it. And obviously the personalization features are the key things that we are bringing as really the big news and the big updates to make it, even more personalized and I think therefore meaningfully engaging.
Alex, this is our biggest challenge, right?
I think it is our biggest challenge. So what I've shown beforehand was one solution for all, basically, and it works, to be fair. So a linear channel is very, very important still. I mean, you talked about your remote control. A remote control exists much longer than Twitch, and it's still the most popular thing. So I think even for our customers, 85% type in 211 to get to the Bundesliga conference. And it's hard I think it's important to acknowledge these habits. It's hard to change them. But of course, it would be much better if there's a personalized experience. And yeah, for us also coming from with millions of customers, with ranging profiles, yeah, how to get there really in a scalable way. I think that will be crucial also for Sky in the future.
Okay. So now we talked a lot about the in-home experience. Let's say I want to close this session with a little bit in the vision. Let's say you're going into the stadium, you want to have the Sky, the BT, the whatever, Canal Plus experience also in the stadium. How important will be stadium experience in the future? What do you think?
Well, I can give you a quick example if you like.
Of course.
And I'll be totally transparent and say that we actually lost this pitch. But we were working with a federation, well, one of their partners, to look at VAR. So obviously VAR is a big thing. Not every league and every stadium has the luxury of big screens in stadiums, but they're bringing in VAR. So if you're in a stadium and there's no big screen, how do you know what's going on when the referees stop the game and you're waiting for someone to tell you what's happening? So we were using Singular to provide a mobile-first experience. So fans could go to the ground, scan a QR code, and then they would have what we call a second screen experience. No app, it's just a browser with a Singular graphic that would be live. And you could do things like predict what's my man of the match for the game, what do I think the score's going to be, stuff like that. And when there was a VAR situation, it would just flash up on your phone telling you, oh, possible offside. And that would sit there on your phone, and then when the decision was made, it would update and tell you. So that was one very, very simple solution. But I think actually what we'll find is that that sort of engagement in venue can go all the way through to, checking out which concession stand, where can I get my beer quickest, which has got the longest line, or can I order a hot dog to my seat, which you can do. Can I order the shirt of the guy who just scored or the girl who just scored? All of those things are all about servicing the fan and making their experience better. But it all comes back to the story, which is what we've already talked about. And it all comes back to delivering something the fan wants rather than something that I would like the fan to pay for so I can get some more money off the fan.
Sam, you?
Yeah, I definitely think it's the participation element, again, that prevails. One of the key elements of the in-venue experience is how you satisfy the husband, the wife, and the kids, right? And maybe the person is not interested in the sport, but maybe there's the opportunity of being on the Jumbotron at the venue, and you film yourself, and you get an exciting moment that, where you can potentially just be there, or you can participate in different ways. One of the elements I disagreed with what Mike was saying is when we get back to that fan token notion, right? I do see a lot of value there. There's nothing I dream more than cutting the line at the venue. Like genuinely, like sitting down, going to the halftime, getting my sandwich and my beer, and coming back to sit before the second half starts. I would be willing, maybe not to, you couldn't have that be a, paying item. But if you buy 5 tokens and you do a venue, you have a journey inside the venue that is interesting for the venue and for the event organizer, why not give those kind of experiences to the fans that they're desperately looking for? I wouldn't feel like we're robbing me €5. I feel like that would be €5 super well invested, and those fan tokens could be used elsewhere also. So I think there's a lot of in-venue experiences, that can pop off the ground, and I think that the participation element once again will be essential there.
Alex, I'm a Chelsea supporter, and I'm waking up in the morning. I do have catching up a couple of news. I'm in the subway, going into the stadium, and unfortunately cutting cord because I have no reception. How do you want to solve this?
Yeah, I mean, what you said, I'm not a Chelsea supporter, so this is the first way where you have to make the difference. I think there are so many sources of great content about Chelsea. We looked at the Premier League. Where is the great content coming from? And it's really how do we get one platform in the best case for you to get there, and being agnostic regarding the devices. Would it be in home on your big screen, or would it be mobile? And how can the different organizations work together in order to create this one-stop shop for the Chelsea fan or for the Bundesliga fan? Because I think it's easy to picture it, but if we really look into nitty-gritty details, okay, how do we aggregate content? How is the customer journey really there? How do we get content? How is contributed, distributed? I think their simplification again will be the key, also in terms of how rights are written, how they are sold, how they are bought. Otherwise, we will be lost in so many details, and then. Yeah, as I said, it's pretty easy to draw it, your dream experience.
Yeah, it's very hard
to achieve. But it gets stuck in so many details, in rights, in windows, and so on. I think this is really where some examples also made a big push into making it easier for you. I know you are a big NFL fan, for example. Might be that it's slightly easier for you to get it if you're in the subway and you lose your connection, might be a bit harder. But anyway, so this one-stop shop, I think, will be key, and will be also the opportunity for many players in the market to position themselves there. And whoever is the best in making those deals or building these networks for the fan, I think they will succeed in the end.
Yeah, I agree. Mehdi, your vision for Sky Switzerland in the next, where you want to be in the next 12 months?
Actually, this is even more global than just Sky Sport. I think the question is about global. Sky, and it turns out that we've identified, let's say, something where we are quite depositioned. We've been existing as Sky since 2017. And we've grown steadily. You could say it's a very good trajectory. We could continue like that for years, and I think it would be satisfactory. It turns out that we have a very low brand awareness in Switzerland.
Okay.
So Sky Sport actually is quite decent, but Sky Show, our fiction service that also represents the biggest part of the future growth, lies at a level that is, honestly, it's a shame when you look at the quality of the content. So this is what we are addressing now. This is going to happen in the second part of Q4 this year. We're kicking off a big brand. It's not a rebranding, it's a branding campaign, because we've never really, we've taken basically the Sky Sport and Sky Show logos and stick them there, but we never actually used a proper branding exercise in the Swiss market versus our competitors, and distinctively come out as a viable alternative, especially in the fiction side. But also sport, I think there's huge potential to grow our awareness. So that's, I think, the biggest overall challenge that we have and that we have started, that should contribute to a much better commercial performance overall.
Okay. Good. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the insights. Always a pleasure talking to you and getting, let's say, inspiration from different markets. So thank you very much for coming.